Dear students, welcome to Rats and Pathology. I have directly taken a plunge to the topic on bone and joints, and we shall be continuing with it. A 30-year-old man presented with pain in the lower part of the right thigh close to the joint. On palpation, there was tenderness and axial crackling. X-ray revealed a club-shaped osteolytic lesion in the lower end of femur. So this is the case. What is your diagnosis? Discuss the gross and microscopic features of this lesion. Add a note on the radiological features and the differential diagnosis. What is the treatment? This can be part of an essay question or an essay by itself. In this topic, we shall be dealing with the clinical presentation, etiopathogenesis, site, gross and microscopic features, differential diagnosis, the behavior and treatment. The diagnosis is osteoclastoma. Another synonym for this is giant cell tumor of the bone. Either of it can be asked and you people should be familiar. Multinucleated giant cells are seen in a stroma of mononuclear cells. If you go back to the classification, it is a tumor of unknown origin. The stromal cells in this lesion are neoplastic. The giant cells are non-neoplastic. And the giant cells are similar to osteoclast in appearance, hence the name osteoclastoma. So against this background, we should be bearing in mind, what is the origin of this tumor? Mention the other giant cell tumors of the bone. And what is the biological behavior of this? This incidentally is an MRI picture showing an osteolytic lesion at the lower end of femur. The origin of the giant cell was thought to be macrophages or osteoclast, or it was due to the fusion of the tumor cells. It was not sure, and still we do not know the origin, hence the classification is tumor of unknown origin. This is a picture of a conference. You'll be seeing that lots of learned heads are over here, and there were many osseo-oncologists, that is, people who knew the bone. They discussed and decided that. So this is the definition of a conference. A conference is a meeting of important people who individually can do nothing, but together can decide that nothing can be done. So this is the definition of a conference that I had learned. And hence it was decided to be of unknown origin. What is the morphology? This is one of the key points of the answer. It arises in the epiphysis. Epiphysis is the end of the bone, and most common is around the knee. That is lower end of femur or upper end of the tibia or upper end of the fibula. The other arms, forearm bones, as well as the small bones of the hand can also be the site. but most important will be these three bones. Please do remember. It's a gross picture. You had seen the picture earlier, but now I will describe it. Kindly follow. This is a tumor over here, and in this I find that it is hemorrhagic. The tumor is hemorrhagic, but well limited. There is a cortex over here, the epiphyseal plate, and it continues. There is a thinning of the cortex because the tumor is expanding, and the tumor is showing areas of hemorrhage and necrosis. In this, there are some gray-white lines. These are the bony septae. Areas of hemorrhage, bony septae are there. And look at the epiphysis. The epiphysis is intact. The tumor does not break it and go into the joint space. At the same time, you find that there is an expansion of the bone, a club-shaped expansion of the bone. So I repeated, it is a hemorrhagic tumor at the end of the bone in the region of the epiphysis, and the tumor is separated by incomplete bony septae. The overlying cortex is thinned out. There is a club-shaped expansion of the bone, and the tumor is limited by means of the epiphyseal plate. This will be the gross description. And I continue. Mostly it replaces the epiphyseal end of the bone. Sometimes it is multiloculated because of the incomplete bony septae. And the cut surface is reddish brown, cortex is thinned out, eggshell crackling. It is a clinical finding. When we palpate it, there is an eggshell crackling. And the tumor itself, it grows as a cohesive mass. It grows as an entire cohesive mass limited by the epiphyseal plate. This is a microscopic picture, equally important, carrying marks. So in this I find that, see, these are the giant cells. Multinucleated giant cells are over here. And these are the stromal cells. I find many individual cells which are the stromal cells, and this is the nucleus. Again, multiple giant cells are there and the stromal cells. That is the tumor cells. So there are multiple osteoclasts like giant cells, which have got about 50 to 100 nuclei. And the giant cells will be almost equally spaced. You take any part of the slide, it will be appearing more or less similar. They are uniformly spaced, and they are separated by small round to oval tumor cells. Hemorrhage might be there, but other findings are non-specific. So again, I repeat, multiple osteoclasts like giant cells which are equally spaced, separated by small round to oval tumor giant cells. I think you people will be able to recite the description by yourself. And for drawing, you can make use of this particular diagram. This is how an osteoclastic giant cell will appear. Exactly. And count the number of nuclei. There will be numerous. 50 to 100 nuclei is what the text gives. This question also has been asked for you people. Mention the lesions of the bone with giant cells. Even otherwise, in this question, if you can mention the other lesions which are having giant cells, it will fetch you marks. The neoplastic lesions are chondroblastoma, osteogenic sarcoma. We had seen it earlier, osteogenic sarcoma. And there can be the non-neoplastic lesions, such as the brown tumor of parathyroid, also called as osteitis fibrosa cystica. Giant cell epily, it occurs in the gums of the jaw. And ABC, aneurysmal bone cyst. These are all some non-neoplastic lesions which contain giant cells. So I mentioned a few lesions of the bone which show giant cells. You can mention these as differential diagnosis. Sometimes this itself is asked as a question, so you need not be perturbed about it. This is a wonderful radiological picture. Again, the lower end of the bone, it shows a club-shaped expansion. There is a thinning of the bone around. Very rarely it can break. And look at this one, I am finding multiple lines. These are all bony septae. And because of this, it appears as multiple bubbles, giving rise to a classical soap bubble appearance. This is a lesion at the distal end of the radius. Thinning of the cortex, bony septae, multiloculation, if you can remember this. And this is the clinical picture. Clinically, classically, the giant cell tumor is present in a patient who is 30 years or more. And look at the expansion that is seen in the forearm. The treatment and behavior, it is a locally recurrent tumor. And what the surgeon does is they will be curating, that is, they scoop off the tumor and it is filled with bony chips. It rarely metastasizes to the lungs. It is very rare, but local recurrence is very common. Radiation is not advised as it might result in an osteogenic sarcoma. So radiation is not advised. There is a surgical curettage filling it with bony chips, and the prognosis is generally good. There is a histological grading into grade 1, grade 2 and grade 3. Grade 1 is well differentiated, grade 2 moderately differentiated, grade 3 is poorly differentiated. And for the benefit of the students, you are finding this. If there are going to be multiple giant cells uniformly spaced, it is well differentiated. In moderately differentiated, the giant cells are reduced in number. And in poorly differentiated, they are sparse, widely distributed. So if possible, you remember this. Otherwise, if you can just mention well differentiated, moderately differentiated, and poorly differentiated, it is more than enough. However, the behavior of the tumor does not match the histological finding. So I think we have come to the end of a session. I would like to thank you people for your patient listening. When you learn to say thank you, you see the world anew. I am seeing a new world of students who are watching me. Mercy.